What's going on? What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday night live. I'm glad to be inside of this call with each and every single one of you today. Let's go ahead and push this back a little bit. But real quick, guys, I do want to go ahead and test. Let me go ahead and see this real quick. Sunday night live. I gotta glad to be inside of this call with each and every single one of you today. Let's go. Give me a second. There we go. I just heard myself. I just heard myself twice. But for everybody that is live with us today, can everybody hear me? Type a yes if you guys can hear me. Want to make sure if you guys can hear me real quick. Yes, COC. There's a bit of a delay on YouTube, but I want to make sure you guys can hear me before I actually start with everything. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Cool. Well, we are officially commencing quarter two of 2026. So if you have not realized it at this point, I mean, we are already done with Q1. So type of one, if you had an absolute amazing start of Q1, I mean, for me personally, guys, it was kind of like the beginning was kind of like rough. I don't know about you guys, but like the beginning of Q1. I could probably say like January didn't feel like January for me specifically. January just kind of felt like I don't know. It kind of felt like a little bit of December still, and then leaning in towards February, we then had the Blueprint Wealth Conference. So at the Blueprint Conference, it just everything just kind of felt like it just picked up right after that for me. Just in business, within the markets and everything, we went ahead and crushed February actually into one of the biggest months. And then we went ahead and then got into March, and then we went ahead and even made a bigger month. So as far as the markets and as far as business, I mean, honestly, March has been one of the most fruitful months of my entire life, but also just the busiest. So I just felt that quarter two energy kick in. I would probably say like a couple weeks ago. So I'm just honestly grateful, grateful to God, grateful for the team, grateful for each and every single one of you, for allowing yourselves to be led not only by myself, but by the amazing leaders that we have here within Powerhouse. I do want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to Reno, Nevada. Let's go ahead and see. Type some twos if you're from Reno, Nevada. And if you're not, go ahead and type some threes because they actually just had an amazing event out there. Shout out to Neri, shout out to Gil for going out there as well as Miguel. Them three leaders went ahead and selflessly devoted, time, energy, money into going ahead and pouring out to all the people out there. So I know you guys had an absolute blast of an event. Reno never disappoints, and I didn't forget, of course. I know that you guys won a challenge, so we'll talk about that within the leadership call that we'll have here in a bit right after this call. But on today's SNL, I'm actually going to be leading it by myself. So I know usually it's two people leading in an SNL, but I purposely just kind of stepped up into the plate and made sure that today's SNL is just myself. I wanted to set the proper tone for quarter two. Just because, guys, quarter two is very important for all of you, right? Quarter two, what I say in business and the markets, if you felt like quarter one was kind of rough for you, or maybe you felt like, okay, you're barely picking up momentum, quarter two inside of the year, this is where you guys should be scaling inside of your life in general. Quarter two is the best time. Quarter two is springtime transferring into summer. So whether it's in your physical state, whether it's on your spiritual state, whether it's your finances, this is like the time that you have to lock in. This is what I call the avalanche effect. Quarter two is when you get the avalanche effect in everything that you do. But remember, if you haven't done anything over the past 3 months, that's what you're absolutely just gonna get. Quarter two is the multiplication from quarter one, right? We always say that it takes roughly about 90 days for you to see a compounded effect, right? So that's why I always say like take these quarters seriously because I feel like a lot of people they just kind of hear us say that or hear Jim Rohn or any aspirational speakers out there, and they just think it's BS. No, like in all reality, that's how life works, guys. Like whatever you put your time into, whatever you put your energy into, it does get multiplied. But if you're not doing anything, that's what's exactly going to get multiplied. Zero times zero is always going to equal zero, right? But if you're going to go ahead and put, let's just say 5 times 5, you're going to get 25. So take quarter 2 as the compounding effect. This is where you're going to start to see the fruits to your labor start to compound. So if you've been on the Zenrai Lives, if you've been, you just graduated maybe from the freshman class onto Powerhouse University, if you're about to graduate, regardless, you're about to level up inside of your career, whatever it may be, this is a time to go ahead and cut off the distractions inside of your life if you haven't already. This is the time to go ahead and lock in. This is the time to just, I mean, if you're already profitable within the markets, this is the time to start scaling up accounts. If you're doing funded accounts, this is the time to even scale into more funded accounts. If you're on live accounts like such as myself, this is the perfect time to go ahead and start to diversify, put it into assets. This is the perfect time for that, right? But I just want to go ahead and set the tone for that. Now, let's go ahead and see what we got this week as far as news. So, we're gonna go ahead and start off Monday. Tomorrow, we got Powell is speaking at 9:30 in the morning. This is Central Time. I'm on Central Time, so all of this is on Central Time. Then on Tuesday, we got CAD and USD news as well. And then we're starting off April 1st with heavy, heavy USD news. So do expect this entire week to be volatile since we are starting off with Powell speaking on a Monday, and then we're literally like we have news for USD pretty much throughout the entire week. So I do expect a lot of movement within the market, a lot of volume to come in inside the markets. Now let's go ahead and talk some technicals, right? First and foremost, I know that some of you are still holding on to the USD MXN move right here. I do expect this to still continue on higher as we've seen. I mean, it's been a lagger. Honestly, I mean, like you got to think about it. Like this was early. Yeah, this is pretty much January right here, right? So you're talking about 3 months, 3 months of movement, pretty much. But again, with USD MXN, I do still see this heading back up to 20. So for those of you that are Mexican, I mean, you guys are happy. Why? Because especially what I do expect is like for the time for the World Cup, right? If you don't realize the World Cup is coming in the next 3 months as well, right? So if you are planning to fly to Mexico during that time, maybe to watch a game or maybe for a family or whatever it may be, we are heading towards some fruitful season, right? So as this goes up, we are seeing that the USD is coming down as well. So that's just how it is, right? So for all of us that are Mexican that are sending over money over there, this is very good for us. Now let's look at gold, right? I know that many of you want to look at gold. I know that many people were talking about seasonality from what I've seen within the chat. Um, when it comes down to gold, when it comes down to gold, what you guys have to realize is we're actually extremely bullish throughout the entire year. The only time that we actually start to slow down is within the transfer from quarter 2 to quarter 3. We just see a small dip, but this is just seasonality. What most people are messing up on when it comes down to seasonality is we have to realize is that gold has not been aligning with seasonality this entire year. So you can't go based off of this. And I'm saying this as somebody that trades fundamentals as well. And I've seen that a lot of people are trying to pick the bottom or pick the top off gold just based on seasonality. You're not going to go ahead and do that because what you have to realize is that it's not been aligned so far at all with seasonality. And that's just due to the circumstance right now that we're at with the war and everything, right? So the war is going to affect it a lot more than the average pricing that is usually correlated with, right? Now, what's my thought process as far as gold? What do I believe it's going to go ahead and do during this time? I do go ahead and think that we still got room to come lower. So yes, I could possibly see us still getting to 3,600 before us continuing on moving forward towards like the 55s and everything. But for the time being, these are the two areas that I've been looking at. One is for more, you could say like an intraday buy, just to pretty much fully scale into buys to sell scenarios, you know. So obviously the continual movement's still going to be the buys. So that's what I would be looking into. So where would I position myself? I would position myself here and I would exit off right here at a 1 to 9. So that's what I would be looking at for the buy setups. Now, as far as the sell setups, same thing. I would want us to head to 48.50 down upwards towards this core level right here before we start shorting. So where would my stops be at? Would be right here. The one thing that you do have to realize about gold during this time, I was talking to a vet within the markets not too long ago, and this is such a fruitful time for gold, but it's as well, it can be a very harmful time for a lot of traders. Why? Because it's never, in my experience, I've been trading now for the past 7 years, guys. I've been trading for the past 7 years. I've never seen volatility like this when it comes down to metals. Never in my career. So this is the most volatility that we have seen within gold, which is extremely rare, you know. But with wars and everything that's happening, I mean, we are in a historic moment, and I don't think a lot of you are witness. I don't think a lot of you are understanding that is that we are in a time right now where a lot of this stuff that's happening or that's already happened, we're living through a time that's going to be in the history books. You know, y'all remember whenever you were in school and, you would read about, the Great Depression or back how it was and during these days, during that war. Yeah, we're living in those times where we will tell this story down to our children, in the next generation, like what happened during this time where Trump can easily just tweet something on X and the market just moved so much. Like those are the times that we're living in right now, and most people aren't really understanding that or aren't really their awareness is not up there yet, or they haven't yet realized that. So just kind of cope with that. But I would be looking at buy scenarios right here. So buy to sell, that's what I would be looking at for gold. But I would still be eyeing this area more on the long term. Um, I know Valentino sees a similar area to this. So this would be my swings. And this is with volatility with gold, you do have to realize that we are risking a lot more than usual. So if you're trading live accounts, just keep that in mind. Which is why with gold, I've been trading it the same way that I trade indices. How do I trade indices? You might say it's purely off price action, right? So what do I do? As you see, I set alerts in all of these areas. And what I do is I wait for price action to tell me what to do, rather than just allowing myself to get stuck on a pending limit, which I mean, honestly, I saved myself, I would say, at least a couple $1,000s just this last trading week, just by me not putting pending limits. And what I did is I have my analysis set up, and this is again for those of you that are pretty much looking at my setups and you're already trying to set this up as buy limits inside of your MetaTrader or whatever it may be. For me personally, I always wait for us to come to this area, then come above, break above, retest, and then I enter. I enter off the retest at all times. I wait for us to have further confirmation that we are actually going for buys. If not, then it's just like you're pretty much allowing yourself to get stuck on a trade that could be a falling knife or different scenario could just be pushing up, and you're just going to be stuck on the other side of it whenever you could actually just wait for price action to tell you that we're actually indicating for buys. You got to realize that regardless of what strategy you're trading, like for me, I always look for the imbalance, that the true imbalance that's left off of liquidity sweep. So you see the liquidity sweep, right? I mean, the liquidity that's built up right here. I wait for that to get swept up, and then I look for the imbalance, the true imbalance within the market, But the thing is if at the end of the day, like every single one of us has a different entry module. I'm not here to try to sell you on my entry model and have you trash away your own, right? Some of you in here trade levels, some of you trade J7, some of you trade different forms of SMC, which derive into, say, fair value gaps, whatever it may be. I'm not going to sit here and try to argue with you guys into saying that this is better than that one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever you're doing, and if it's showing profitability, then that's cool. Keep on doing that. But the key thing is what I always just tell people is just like trade what price is telling you, right? And not just because like because really realize, and I always say this time and time again, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I've been saying this for years. It's like since when has the market, regardless of how you trade, how you see your entry module, since when does the market give a fuck? Excuse my language, but give a fuck about your fair value gap or your imbalance or your liquidity sweep, your head and shoulder, like your trend line. It doesn't care. Your whatever your technical analysis is, that's not how the market actually works in its essence, right? So again, you have to have further confirmation at all times. And the more and more time that you actually devote towards trading the price action and not just randomly putting buy limits and sell limits, the more that you're going to thank yourself. Now, here's the flip scenario, right? A lot of you are like, well, Junior, I work a job or I'm busy. Well, number one, everybody's busy. But number two is just ask yourself, okay, like, do I want quick results or do I want long-term growth? And that's going to be a big thing, because if you're just setting buy limits or sell limits, regardless if you're copying somebody else's trade idea, you're going to get quick results, but you're also going to have quick losses. And the worst thing that can happen is you not understanding why you're losing or why you're winning to begin with. So that's why we say trade what price action is telling you. Look at the areas that if you're trading on Zenra ideas, I encourage you like even mark up the area that they're looking at, right? And try to learn from those ideas, right? Because at the end of the day, I could sit here and mm, just tell you guys to keep copying and pasting if I wanted to cripple you guys. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to win. I want you guys to win in the long term. I want you guys to know how these markets really work in essence, right? So that's what I got for gold. And as far as like the swing, I would pretty much be looking at this area to get targeted. Now, do I think that this may happen this week? Ideally, yes. Just obviously depending what happens this week. But with all the news and with all the volatility, I do at least see two of these scenarios playing off. So we either get this buy and then to sell scenario. I don't think that if we actually get this buy to sell scenario, I don't think that there's going to be enough volume to kick into the market for us to have this heavy of a drop. But I could be wrong. So I either see this come up, pretty much a ping pong action, or us just pretty much continuing down and into this area right here. So we could just easily start breaking down inside of this area. And if that was to happen, then you adjust what you see, right? Typically, again, since I trade imbalances, with a drastic move down, if we do end up breaking down right here, then we're obviously gonna leave some imbalances within the market, and you further analyze that, and then you start looking for continuation sells, right? So hopefully that gave you guys some insight. Now, for U.S. oil, as I said before, trade the continuation. So again, big wicks always like to and tend to get filled. So let's look at more in depth onto why it is that I marked up this area to begin with. So let's break it down to the 5 minute, right? And then let's even go down further to the 3 minute. So you see the true imbalance right here, no wick fill down to it. You see the separation between this candle down to the rest, what keeps it different, right? So we went ahead and seen this actually get filled right here. So you see the same thing. This candle right here with no wick fill down to the body went ahead and got filled right here, and then we went ahead and dropped. So I want this same scenario, but right here to pretty much happen. And for a lot of you, you're like, oh, well, did this get filled? No, it didn't. That's why I always break it down to a smaller time frame to make sure of it. But again, I would want a reaction out of this. Now, is that going to hold? Um, that's going to be the question, right? Is if we're going to hold this area. So what I do expect to happen is for us to kind of come into this area right here and possibly have some distribution right here, and then finally to continue on some buys, right? So ideally, what I would want to see is us come here, and keep pushing up. That's what I would want to see in the markets. Further push up with oil, which obviously would translate into everybody having much more expensive gas prices. I always say things get a lot more worse before they get better. And I do expect us to get a lot worse as far as an economy. I know it's a shit thing to say, but where everything's headed and where the Trump administration, where I see um, them getting to is I just don't see them relaxing anytime soon. And they obviously haven't gotten down their objective yet. So I don't expect the gas prices to chill on anything, right? The war isn't done yet. In fact, they're still sending out troops, more troops as we're speaking. As you guys seen, even recently, they've lowered the threshold to enter the military. I think it used to be like the max age that you can enter was 32 or 34. And then you had to retire. Now they increased the retirement age up until 40. And then not only that, they've actually been more and more lenient lately. But the reason why is you got to just ask yourself, if they're doing all this, it's because they know that they're gonna need more troops than what we have. All these things, all these laws are getting passed in the back end, and most people aren't realizing. So, if all this is happening, it's for a reason, right? So, um, I do again expect us to get a lot worse inside of an economy before we get better. And what's happening right now in the back end as well is a lot more people. Let me actually search this up because I've seen this earlier. A lot more people are leaving the USA than entering, right? So as you see, more people are actually Americans are leaving the US in record numbers, right? So more people are actually leaving the US than entering it for the first time ever. And this is obviously happening due to the economy. You know, a lot of people are now just kind of like just tired of everything out here. Could be because of the economy, could be because of politics, could be a mix of both, but that's really what's happening right now at the stage that we're in within America. So, um, yeah, we got that going on. But again, I would be looking at continuation buys to still get us upwards of the 120. So I would still see oil climbing to new all-time highs right here. You see the 2008 financial crisis that we had was out here. We actually had the 2008 financial crisis happen in the month of June. Yep, June, July. And we went ahead and peaked out at 146 at a barrel. So I do expect us to even surpass that. Now, what's that going to do to us as an economy? That's going to cripple a lot of people, just because you got to think about the average person, how much they're making versus how much they're going to start to spend. And they've already started in several countries out there in Europe as well. And inside of the Caribbeans, inside of the islands, they've already started to ration oil. So I don't see that happening in the U.S. economy as far as like rationing and limiting people. But what I do expect is a lot of people are going to start to feel the heat as far as the financial crisis, right? So real estate as well is not selling, so there's a bit of a mix right now with buyers and sellers. So we're not getting any people that are actually buying unless it's institutional money. Um, as far as retail, there's nobody really buying up more real estate, on bigger average, right? And nobody really wanting to sell, right? So That's kind of what's happening as far as real estate. And then as far as credit cards are at an all-time high, right? So the only thing that really we would have to do as an economy is they need to start cutting down interest. But as you've seen in the month of March, which is when I expected it, we expected as an economy to go ahead and get interest rates cut, but we didn't. So if we don't get an interest rate cut, I would probably roughly say within the next 30 to 60 days, um, yeah, things are gonna get real tough out there for a lot of people, right? So can't see that. Now, as far as Nasdaq, so the stock market, I do see us crumbling down some more. Which what is that gonna mean? You're gonna see a lot of people's traditional investments start to go in the negatives. So imagine people's livelihoods as far as like their day to day is getting more expensive, and at the same time, their traditional investments are going to be down close to 20% if whenever we get here. So imagine they're down as far as their 401ks, their Roth IRAs, and everything. They're down that amount. And for a lot of you, that have been investing for a while, especially if you've been into crypto, you're just like, yo, 20% drawdown. You're like, I wish. But you got to think about the average person. The average person sees 10, 20%, they freak out. 50% signals a financial crisis within most people. That's whenever people start panic selling. So that's what it would take for us to really have some panic within the market. But even at this level, I mean, at a 20-25% rate, a lot of people start to panic within the markets because, again, you have to understand the state where the majority of people are at. They're going to be spending a lot more than what they're making to begin with, and their investments are down to begin with. So they're just losing money in all ends. And then they look at their properties, and then they bought at highs, and their properties are going to be down as well, another 20-30% as far as property value. So they're just effed in all ways. So what's that going to create? A lot of emotion within the markets, right? But as traders, that's where we get to capitalize. So just for further context, I mean, this is where I expect us to pretty much start to see some buys within the markets, at least up to here. I don't know yet about getting up to new all-time highs, but again, you just have to learn to adapt to the markets. But as far as just us following normal market structure, I mean, this would pretty much make sense for us to start getting a bounce within the markets here. Now, if a lot of you are asking, like, well, what would it take for us to see a worse state than what we saw in 2008, which a lot of us, even within this call, probably weren't even old enough to even feel it. I know I wasn't, but if we start getting into this area right here, which is very much possible, this is what's going to signal a financial crisis. That's going to be worse than the 2008 recession. And if we come into this area right here, this would signal a lot more than a recession, but a depression within the market. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, as traders and as investors, this is the best time to allocate USD as well, because if I'm telling you, hey, we could be heading right here. And if we start breaking down even lower right here, then the best thing that you can do as an investor is start stacking up USD. So switch from a gear of, okay, let me deploy my cash to let me store it. So that way, whenever we get down into this area, deploy it, right? Because as traders and as investors, we're opportunists, right? So we see the state of the economy where it is in a macro perspective, and we aim to benefit, right? So a lot of people will be worried about what they are down as far as drawdown, but what you look at as an investor, then you look at the opportunities that this grants you, right? But for the time being, I mean, I'm still investing even on the weekly basis. Like I have the stocks, I have cryptos that I buy on the weekly basis. Those are the same ones that I've been telling you guys to buy for months on end. Um, but once we start pretty much if we were to break down this area, then I would start storing up my cash and just waiting for us to kind of come lower for us to start buying again. But it's during opportunities like this where for a lot of us And I say us, the people that came from the bottom, that didn't have handouts and everything, this is where, honestly, we get rich as fuck because we get to buy the dips, the dips that will forever get remembered, right? So it's like the same people. There was two types of people, right? There's two types of people in every single state of economy, right? You got the people that um went out of business. A lot of people went out of business. A lot of people went broke during this time, during the 2008 financial crisis. But there was also a lot of people, you got to think about it, what people made it out and held from this bottom all the way to this top right here. I mean, bull markets last a lot more time than bear markets. Remember that. If you guys are writing down notes, write that down, keep that in mind. Bull markets last a lot more time than bear markets. So the market has, again, just like it has to go up, it has to come down as well. So during bear markets, that's the time to capitalize. You don't get rich off bull markets. You get rich off what you do during the bear markets, right? So that's why joking around, you might always see me, where some people might you could say get freaked out and stuff like that. That's why I always say, yo, I hope it comes down lower, right? Same with Bitcoin. Like obviously we didn't went ahead and start we haven't held this area right here. I could still see us kind of coming down. So if Nas obviously comes down, I see Bitcoin coming down and get past this area. We get BTC under 50K. That's well over a 50% discount, so for a lot of people, rather than just sacking up your outs, a lot of outs won't survive this crypto market. That's the truth of the matter, unless they had some government backing, mm, which is the assets that I'm investing into as far as crypto. I'm not investing into any cryptos unless number one, they have government backing behind it, or number two, they have a 10-year roadmap of them actually being inside of and playing a big part as far as the economy. You just gotta think about that. It's the same thing as, and this is a deeper context, but it's the same thing with what's happened with the metaverse, right? How much like I don't know if you guys have seen Meta went ahead and stopped the projects that they had as far as the metaverse and everything. Like even those goggles that they had that get you into the metaverse and stuff like that. Because again, things went ahead and evolved, and now we went ahead and got into AI, right? I think the metaverse is still more of a 5-year thing that will happen. But right now, the race that there is the AI race, right? And the new AI that OpenAI just made it even better than what we had already in the marketplace, right? So they just went ahead and achieved something that hadn't been achieved for a very long time. So within the AI space, it's the same race that they're having as far as like back 30, 40 years ago, whenever you had the Soviet Union and then you had the USA competing against, who landed on the moon faster, right? So we had the same thing happening within countries, but in the AI space, right? So right now it's all hands on deck pretty much as far as, who has the better AI, and then it's going to be into the robots and then that's going to transfer into the metaverse, right? So you just got to look at companies that are going to be here within the next 10 years because I would probably say 90% of companies that you're used to, or especially crypto and stocks, they won't be here within the next 5, 10 years, right? The reason why is because, again, a lot of companies haven't adapted, but also a lot of the big players are just going to be start to buy up these medium-sized companies, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. Again, just deeper context. But as far as the markets, I mean, that's pretty much what I have for this week. I have NASDAQ that I believe is going to keep on crippling down this entire week. So I do see us possibly getting into this area. That's still a far reach down. You're talking about, I mean, damn, like this is well over 1,000 plus pips that has to kind of come down in order for us to capture this buy area right here. For XAUUSD, I mean, I gave you the buy to sell scenario and the long-term swings that I have. And as far as US oil, I mean, I gave you both areas that I have for this, which I might actually see this actually happening pretty soon. But what I did want to go ahead and let you guys know of, apart from obviously tuning into the Zenrai lives that we have to make sure that you guys are updated with everything that's happening with the markets, we actually just went ahead and released the convention tickets, right? We are having our convention, our very first convention that we had, which was early, I mean later last year, right? And we had that in the Bahamas, which a lot of people missed out on, which was actually an amazing experience. But we have this one that's happening in Portugal in September 19th and 20. The tickets just went on sale. They are within y'all's back office. So there is a 24-hour pre-sale. As you see, the literally, I think today, actually, as I'm speaking, the special is on for the next 2 hours. It's 175. It's usually after this, it's gonna be 210, right? So definitely secure y'all's ticket. Go out there to the Portugal convention. Promise you, conventions is where everything is made. I mean, I've been in this industry for well over 7 years, and I have yet to honestly miss any like international regional conventions. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where I pretty much have now hosted my own. But even just as a customer, guys, even I mean, like you guys get to meet all the educators in person, and more importantly, I mean, you got to realize this is what we do this for. This is why we trade to begin with, right? Is because we want to go ahead and experience the world. We want to go ahead and achieve financial time freedom, right? But you can't do that by by listening and being around the people that you're probably around on a daily basis. You might, a lot of people tend to forget, community is everything. Being around the right people is literally everything. Like for me, the biggest reason that I'm at where I'm at, it's because I'm around the right people. I'm around people that are doing much more better than me, at all times. Like I know that many times here in Powerhouse, I might be the one that's mentoring you guys and everything, but the only reason that I'm able to mentor you guys so good and I'm continually developing myself. The only reason that I'm able to do that is because I'm continually developing myself and being around people that are doing better than me financially, spiritually, physically, in every single sense. And that's just something that we have to do as human beings. We have to be surrounded around people that are doing better than us. And the only way you can do that is by getting around the same environments, right? And you guys have an opportunity of a lifetime to go ahead and do that. And more importantly, do that in probably a country that you've never been to. And if you have been to Portugal, then cool. Going to be your first time attending something business oriented and traveling at the same time. That's the best thing that I could say about my life is that over the past 6 years, I've been self-employed, meaning I haven't worked for anybody for the past 6 years, just worked for myself. And that's the proudest things that I can say. And I've been able to fly across the country, across the world, and be able to see my life through a different lens and at the same time meet people that speak different languages, that have different customs, and be able to do what I love most at the same time, and you guys have the same opportunity to do the same things, right? So definitely lock in y'all's ticket. And again, Q2 starts as of now, not April 1st. It starts today. So make that decision, cut off the distractions, cut off the people that you need to go ahead and cut off. Whatever you got to do, guys, this is your time, right? Like if you went ahead and slacked off in Q1, like remember, Q2 is just going to be an evidence of what you've done during Q1, right? So, and if you were consistent, whether that was in your spiritual side and your physical side, finances, whatever, this is the time that you're going to see the fruits to your labor go ahead and start to pay off. So, other than that, guys, I hope that you guys, and I know that you all will have a fantastic week. I wish you guys nothing